So I will be sharing few thoughts about, so I was told to speak about collaboration and how collaboration can help. So I'll be sharing some of my thoughts about it. And I would also share some outside R&D examples or outside life sciences, pharma, chemical industries examples where actually collaboration is really helping, and how can we draw the insights of that in our space. Last 13 years I have been with pharmaceutical and now in also specialty chemical industry. But prior to that I have worked in many other industries where somehow I feel that collaboration in new product development has significantly changed the contours of how time to market, if we think of mind to market, or from the time an idea comes to mind and how you take it to market, how quickly you can do that can happen. So, just taking a step aside, in today's context, and I have been working for last about 35 years. I remember a time when to take a demand draft, I used to go to a bank, fill up some forms, take a token, wait. But people who have been born after 95, and when they come to workforce, they might not have even seen things like that. So basically, how much time does it take to open a bank account in today's context? Might be 15 minutes, or to get a mobile phone connection, again 10-15 minutes. But things were not like that always, right? So it is basically the integration and collaboration with Aadhaar, which has other part of the information which is making it happen, right? So integration and collaboration across systems actually play a very, very crucial role. And if you look into the last 30 years of journey which has happened, and more so in the last 10 years, the acceleration of this collaboration has created totally different business models, business processes, and these things will now add to it Gen AI capability. In the next 5 years, the new business models which will come up or new process models which will come up would be something which we have just not thought of. And the use cases would be amazing. During COVID, in my previous organization, there was a drug called itolizumab, which was repurposed for the second wave of COVID to prevent cytokine storm, and it was used. But that used to be used for some other purpose. So it was actually used for psoriasis treatment. But then now here it was getting used for COVID. So the demand forecast in the month of March 2021 was we needed 200 vials per week to be shipped for psoriasis patients. But in April, mid of April, we needed 7,000 vials to be shipped. And the people who were supposed to manufacture, they also had COVID. So, and only certain people can manufacture, right? People have to be trained in that particular field. People in pharma will know, only they can manufacture. So we thought of, can we operate the plants remotely from homes? And we actually were able to do that. And that is where, again, collaboration, integration, interoperability play a huge role. And many of the technologies which were being talked about, actually those are the building blocks which can make these type of things happen. But operating a plant or an operation or equipment from home, it is a huge impact, and especially in a time like COVID where we were all doing remote work, but operating a plant from home, that makes a huge difference. Now, what is, if we have to reflect upon this point, that actually in the another dimension which is happening, and in the last 10 years, if we reflect, this new technologies which are coming up, and when we integrate that, that will makes a huge difference. So I'm just taking one as Google Maps, and new business models like this Ola, Uber, and algorithms. These new business of Uber, Ola, Airbnb, all has come up because we have Google Maps, we have cloud platforms, and many of these enabling technologies have created new business models. Similarly, this augmented reality, the concept of having avatars of various people, and Gen AI is again going to create totally new business models. For example, if you go to some of the malls today, and I went to Oberoi Mall one day and I saw Ayushmann Khurrana's photo there, picture, and he appears to be talking to people. And you interact with him and say, okay, he's saying that, okay, this Titan Eye Plus glasses will work this way, and you ask any question, it is replying to you. So that is where they are using the avatar of Ayushmann Khurrana, and with all the knowledge base which is there to interact with anybody. So Gen AI, large language models, and combination of technologies are creating totally unique business models and business solutions. Many of these things will actually happen also in shop floors. It is not only a consumer grade technology, it is going to be used in educating people. We can have people being present in multiple places, scientists present in multiple places. In some of my previous organizations, we were able to do remote plant maintenance with expertise of being there, handled centrally and being used across the board. So what we see is that there are various new technologies coming in, and combination, those technologies by itself are immensely powerful, but what makes a huge difference is when we bring them together, when we connect the dots, then the business solutions and process models which are getting created are very unique. And some of the things, in fact, when this Ayushmann Khurrana's example, which I was talking about, and we were saying that, hey, how do we use it? Similar thing in our company or our industry, and we are seeing huge number of use cases emerging, which can make significant impact. So this is basically evolution of how, in the R&D space, people thought, and very rightly so, even nowadays I see sometimes in my company the most useful tool is email and Excel sheets. Excel came much later, but to collaborate, when email came, it was actually a God's boon to mankind. But then we have been having many solutions which are coming all the way. Evolution is happening, and the space of evolution has increased significantly. So the fact that we can have avatars of different people being present in different locations, and the content being kept in a centralized place, and that being able to impact or communicate it is not a pre-created message, but if I combine ChatGPT, Gen AI with this augmented reality technology, then you might have Narendra Modi's avatar being present in multiple locations, being able to interact with different set of peoples with different set of questions. So the impact which can get created is significant. And that is where the new technologies, when we bring them together, the ability to make an impact and collaboration is rising exponentially. Now coming to the research part, obviously collaboration is between teams is going to be very useful. And if we look at the various aspects in a product development place, one is that execution of projects itself. They're doing the experiments, doing the work, the project management, task assignment, and then the knowledge management. When it all comes together, that is where the magic happens. But if we look at some of these things, that what are the things, the challenges which are there in our labs, in our research labs and the product development thing. So, these are all the things which would be very familiar with you. That these are the challenges which we face. It could be missed innovation opportunities, duplication of effort, this keeps happening, slow time to market, and some of them are very mundane things. Oh, I made that mistake, and this was one of the things in some of my previous organizations we had to solve, that I made that mistake in my last experiment, and I learned from that and I use it, and it is the tribal knowledge within the people I interacted with, but somebody else is doing some other experiment. Is he learning from my mistake? Is he, or he's repeating the same mistakes and wasting time? So, and that, which is a very common thing. And now how do we get all this knowledge together? Like, can Gen AI, if I am doing an experiment in a particular way and I'm using a reagent or some chemical, can the system say, hey, don't go this path, this will create a hazardous reaction when you scale up this batch, or this is an unsafe thing? So how do we bring these things together? Actually, the building blocks are all there, and we are just limited by our creativity. And as quickly as we do it, it will create an immense impact in the solutions we create. And all these collaborative platforms like Revvity, you have these things, knowledge sharing, security and data, it has already been talked about, and this actually helps in doing this experiments and the thoughts which I am talking about. But it is not just limited to that. And some of the new things which David was talking about actually was very interesting and music to my ears. How you integrate with many other solutions, and can you do the whole lab process in one platform? And how do you integrate with LIMS, MES, lab execution systems, many of these things, because that increases the speed of execution. I know long time back had this product called iLab, that is your lab execution system, right? I was one of the guinea pigs who used it. But there is definitely a lot of need for many of these platforms. Later on, that product was shelved, but there is a lot of need when you integrate various of the technologies, because that makes the overall solution, overall operations much faster. Now I am taking a step back and reflecting on some of the other industries where and how does product development happen in some of these, and how collaboration happens. And let's take two industries. One is automotive and second is consumer electronics. And I have been very fortunate to have worked in both these type of industries in a very large way, and have seen product development change from, like, when you had cars or trucks, all these things getting made earlier. It used to take a new car, new model. One is it is very expensive, and secondly, it will take 6 years, 10 years to get a new model of a car. And you would have seen that many of these automotive companies have now started bringing models much faster, the life cycle, and lot of features. And today automotive have significant amount of electronics and embedded software inbuilt in the cars. So if you see, reflect on an automobile, and we all use it, so we are very familiar with it. If you see the number of components, there will be, might be 10,000 components in a automobile. And when you develop a new vehicle, it is, you can never develop it within the four walls of a lab or a design center. You would need to, if Tata Motors had to do this, they will also have, the engine is coming from Fiat, or the steering is coming from some other company. So you are always collaborating with multiple companies when you are making a product. And when you change the specifications, minor specifications here, there would have an impact on something else. So you need to also do not only collaboration, but any change which is happening, the impact assessment has to happen almost real time with some other partner who is working in some other city and things like that. So it increases the complexity significantly. And that is where I saw collaborative product lifecycle management solutions and design solutions making a huge impact, where now you are able to bring cars and trucks into the market with much superior designs very quickly. And you are able to manage the life cycle of it. It is not only bringing the product to the market, but in that industry, you also do continuous monitoring of the vehicle. Today, with telemetry, it is possible. With chips which is there in your car, the company is monitoring in their cloud, and they are also able to put patches and to continuously upgrade. So the product life cycle is changing, and the similar thing is going to happen even in pharma industry. When we also combine digital therapeutics and various other things with the product life cycle, similar type of things will happen. In some industries show the trend to others. Similarly, if we look at the mine to market for consumer electronics or mobile phones, and the number of components in consumer electronics like automotive is going to be significantly, it might not be 10,000, but it is definitely 1,000. And broadly, you have the overarching design, you have the embedded software, you have the mechanical design, and you have the electronics part of it. And these are all product development happens with different organizations. So how do you do collaborative product lifecycle management, product development in a secured way? Secured way is very important, plays a very important role on bringing new product into the market. And if you see, many of these mobile phone companies are bringing, Samsung and all are bringing new releases every year with significantly enhanced features. So their platforms and solutions and processes are working very, very well. And those are some of the things which I feel the life sciences industry can learn from these industries, and the way those industries have matured. And it was not like that in the past. Nokia was the company doesn't exist now in the mobile phone, but in mid 2000s in India, they were one of the companies who were able to bring new phones to the market. Mine to market as a metric was only 4 months. So by the time the marketing people conceptualized the product to the time it was launched in the market, it was just 4 months, and it included so many different other companies. So like we are saying CROs and others, there were separate companies collaborating with each other to design the product and then scale up for manufacturing. So here, while currently the software is talking about only the solution design part of it, but when you scale up for manufacturing, that is again a different ball game altogether. But ultimately, collaboration plays a huge role. So I would like to share our experiences in PI of how we have been using the tool, and I would like to invite my colleague Ankit, who has been the architect of this. So Ankit, if you can come up. So in the so the industry is changing, and we have different partners, right? So because we will be not be doing all the work ourselves, like, and that is where collaboration, Ankit. So that is where the collaboration plays a very, very important role, where we are, one is that we are doing certain amount of work ourselves, but we are going to engage with different other bodies to do this together. And to be effective, we have to do it, we have to collaborate and do it more effectively. Now here, CROs, farmers, startups, and regulatory, these are the other bodies with whom we would be working. And we have the eLab notebook, Signals Lead Discovery, and the Signals notebook. Yes.
So as I posted a question to David in the morning as well. So we are on a hybrid model. We understand the company's name itself has Revvity Signals in it. So we're anticipating that there'll be a big shift towards signals in the coming years. And we would like to be the first ones to probably adopt the cloud technology there and from an e-learning perspective. So we're still on an e-notebook environment. Of course, from a collaboration perspective, if you see, PI uses heavily e-notebook or ELN systems for collaboration between various functions. So of course, synthesis, we all know, it starts with chemistry. The biological screening, we have various functions or portfolios on the bio, fungicides, insecticides, which does biological screening. They collaborate within themselves. Of course, lead generation, my team itself, molecular modeling, simulations. We interact, we collaborate with chemists, we interact with the biologists there through ELN. There are other functions like process, formulations, stores, supply chain, which all integrates together and works. So that's how we use e-notebook as a collaborative system within PI. Of course, we don't do everything ourselves. The industry is changing. You don't need to build all the R&D labs yourself in the product lifecycle. You collaborate with CROs, and so do PI. So we collaborate with CROs for maybe animal studies, animal testing, and so on. We work with startups in terms of maybe ligand-based virtual screening, and so on. We also work with farmers because one of our businesses into agrochemicals. And from an idea to market stage, a bigger segment of testing happens in fields. So we collaborate with farmers to do field testing. So of course, all that data, again, has to, if we have to derive data analytics in the future, it has to come on a common platform. And that is where we use Signals Notebook for getting data aggregated from a third-party perspective. Of course, data is the new oil, but then without analytics, the oil doesn't have any value in the future. So we use Signal Lead Discovery or Inventor, where we try and derive analytics or your SAR analysis through Inventor. We use this for predictions. So of course, we have integrated prediction tools. We have actual test results. So a combination of those gives us an insights into what probably can be improved in terms of predictives. And of course, decisions from the research stage to the development stage. So how do we derive better molecules or identify lead molecules? So of course, those kind of decisions are also taken from Signal Leads Discovery and Inventor. So that's how probably we look at Revvity's platforms as more of a collaborative platforms for our data aggregation.
And the feedback we get from the field and tying it back to the research quickly so that it does the adverse reactions or something which is noticed at the field, how quickly we can bring it back to the lab, tweak our product or the way it is going to be operated. That is where having an integrated platform actually helps. And this is the overarching way by which while we started small, we would have started in one place, but then we expanded across the board, and integrating between various functions and using the same solution across function is helping us broadly in that metric of time to market and the speed to market.
Of course, we understand the DMTA life cycle. So, I mean, in the older days, we had all our new designs coming from the brainchild of the scientists, right? But in today's world, there are modeling and simulation tools, which is there for challenge, but also maybe given more idea about what designs to make. So we start our journey from RDIT, which is my team, where we design new molecules, we prioritize new molecules using modeling and simulations. We do both kind of structure and ligand-based designing there. We provide these ideas to the chemistry team. And of course, the ideas also come from chemistry team. We collaborate over there. And then based on which designs to make, or which can have a better probability of showing efficacy in the field, we synthesize those molecules in the chemistry labs. Of course, for chemistry, there are two decisions which needs to be taken: whether the chemicals are available in the stores, or if it is not available, then how to procure that. Again, we use Revvity tools for that. So we use Revvity inventory system, where our stores and CMG systems are collaborated, integrated with our e-notebook system. We also use ChemACX, which is again from Revvity, for our procurement purposes. Of course, once a new molecule is made, chemistry collaborates with analytical to identify what is the structure, to elucidate that, and all those analytical trials are done. Currently, we do integrate this data with ELN, in ELN, but then we are looking at integrating partners. I think Saitara is going to be discussing their presentation today, so we'll also open to looking at that. Once these molecule is registered, it needs to be tested. So our bio team uses, they create protocols in e-notebooks, in Signals. They do all kind of in vitro testing, in vivo testing, microfield testing, all our tox testings, which bio teams take care of it, and that all goes into e-notebook as well. And as the molecules move forward, it needs to be tested in the fields. Of course, it needs to be formulated. So our formulation, again, the data goes inside ELN, and where all the formulation experiments are captured. Slowly, as the compound moves forward in the life cycle, and we are filtering down the funnel, so maybe from 500 or 5,000 molecules to maybe 50 molecules or so. We also need to optimize the processes, optimize the yield, and also identify a better route to synthesis, or maybe to take it to the kilolab or pilot plant phase, and that's where process innovation comes into picture. So it's just a short glimpse of how we are collaborating internally using various tools of Revvity, but this is not enough. Of course, the world is changing, and so do the technology also needs to change rapidly.
Now, some of the things, while we talked about collaboration and we talked about the importance of it, and sometimes here, like in PI, we primarily have been using the same platform and we have distributed it, or we have rolled it out, multiple functionalities in multiple departments, and that is how we have been collaborating. We have also integrated it with SAP and Ariba and other things, like while the procurement request inventory is getting seen here, but then the procurement happens through Ariba, so those things are integrated and integrated also with our own internal systems, various other systems, so that the complete chain gets digitalized and we get benefits out of it. But what are the things which we need to ponder and think about while we are in this journey, and some words of caution. Actually the benefits, and I would be keen to hear the Saitara and other things, but the real benefits will happen when man, machine, material, we are able to integrate it. And this integration between equipment, systems, the physical value chain and the information value chain, once that gets integrated, then the power of the solutions and the platforms go up exponentially. So that is one thing, which is basically the job to be done. The other part is, while we are building these connected systems, And most of the cases I have seen in my experience that when we plan for these connected and integrated and collaborative systems, we are not thinking, we just think of doing that integration and the job we think is done, but we are not adequately thinking on the robustness of the whole platform. And we leave it to chances, and or that is comes as an afterthought. So building robustness and redundancy in the complete solution, where when you are collaborating with multiple systems, has to be thought through. How are you taking the backups? If something, what are the points of failure? Because you get used to that system, then, but you don't realize what are the multiple points of failure. And if it fails, then what is your backup? How will you do it? What is your next best action to make the system run? I see a lack of thought in most of the places, and that is where it is extremely important, because once you get used to the system, and if something fails, then you will not even realize where it has failed, and you will not be able to do it. If I go to the banking and financial industry, 20 years back, you know, if the ATM machine used to fail 22 years back, 23 years back, and oh, I have done the transaction in the ATM machine, but it is not reflected accurately in my bank account. But now it can never happen, because fail-proof systems have been created. So even here, when we get used to it, we need to build systems which are fail-proof. The other part is when we are talking of collaborative platforms and integration between technologies, a very deep analysis on cybersecurity and fraud prevention is a must. And there is severe lack of knowledge and expertise in thinking from this direction. And that is where one needs to, while the people collaborate and integrate between systems, one needs to also look at, take baby steps and look at how are you looking at the cyber security. The reason is, with significant amount of cloud investments and going to the cloud is concerned, you don't know the cloud provider is using which component of which software providers. Because it is out of your sight, it is somewhere in some data center somewhere, you don't know what components are getting used. And can a supply chain attack happen through that? Supply chain attack means a component which is getting used somewhere might have a vulnerability, and that might affect. And most of the times these things don't get tested, and once we use it, and later on people can possibly, if they have a ransomware and stop your system, it is well and good. But if they use some of these vulnerabilities to alter data in your R&D experiments, you will not even come to know of it. So cyber security has to be thought through very well, and fraud prevention, and there is serious lack of expertise in the industry in this space. So people who are using it teams should talk to their security team and do it. Most of the cases I have also found that the cloud providers and the people who are managing the cloud, there is serious lack of knowledge among those cloud providers. And that is also a big risk. So while we are doing all these things, one needs to do a thorough due diligence on the security part. So that's all, I and Ankit had to share. But just to sum up, we think that there are a lot of technologies which are coming, and these are collaborative technologies. When we bring them together, the power of the solution goes up exponentially high. Productivity increases, it becomes mistake proof. If we add Gen AI along with this, then there is significant improvement in the art of the possible. So I think in the next 5 years or even 2 years, we are going to see many new innovations which will happen in this space. We definitely have to be careful about the fraud management and the cybersecurity aspects of it.